Hey there, real life stories family. Welcome back to another riveting episode that's going to tug at your heartstrings and make you ponder the twists and turns of life. Today's tale is a roller coaster of emotion, a journey through the complexities of love, betrayal, and the indomitable human spirit. So buckle up and get ready for a story that will leave you questioning the very fabric of relationships. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on the captivating real-life narratives we bring to you. Let's get started. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, a chance for us to show our appreciation to the hard-working employees who had made our company what it was. Little did I know that fate had other plans in store. As I walked into the opulent ballroom, the music was already thumping, the aroma of expensive wine and perfume filling the air. The tables were adorned with extravagant centerpieces, each one more breathtaking than the last. But it was the sight that greeted me near the dance floor that sent a sharp pain straight through my heart. My wife, Catherine, and her boss, Richard, locked in a passionate embrace, their lips tangled together as they swayed to the rhyme of the music. My mind reeled as I tried to process what I was seeing. I felt a mixture of anger, betrayal, and hurt wash over me in waves. I wanted to confront them, to demand answers, but something held me back. Perhaps it was the shock, or maybe it was the fear of what might happen if I confronted them here, in front of everyone. Instead, I forced myself to remain calm and collected, my hands shaking as I clutched my glass of wine. Over the next few hours, I watched them together like a hawk, waiting for the slightest opportunity to confront them. As the party progressed, they seemed oblivious to my presence, lost in their own little world. They danced together, laughed together, and even shared intimate glances across the room. It was painfully obvious that they were more than just co-workers. They were lovers. My heart ached with every passing moment, but I couldn't bring myself to leave. I was frozen in place, unable to process the magnitude of what was happening. My mind raced with questions. How long had this been going on? When did they start? And worse of all, why hadn't I seen it before now? The thought of returning home to face Catherine and try to salvage our marriage felt impossible. Eventually, the music came to an end and the guests began to file out of the ballroom. Richard excused himself to make a phone call, leaving Catherine alone at their table. I could feel my resolve starting to waver, but I forced myself to approach her. "Catherine," I said, my voice barely audible over the dwindling chatter. "I saw you and Richard." She looked up at me, her eyes red from tears and her lips quivering. "I'm so sorry, Michael," she whispered. "I don't know what happened. I can't explain it." I felt a surge of anger rise within me, but I forced myself to remain calm. "Catherine, we need to talk about this," I said, motioning for her to follow me outside. As we stepped onto the terrace, the cool night air bringing with it a sense of clarity, I knew that our life would never be the same again. "I don't know how to say it," she began, her voice shaky. "I never meant for any of this to happen." She took a deep breath and continued. "Richard has been my mentor for years. He has helped me advance in my career. He's been there for me when I needed someone to talk to. I never meant for it to become anything more than that." I listened, my heart heavy with the weight of her words. I knew that she was right, that the relationship had been built on years of trust and mutual respect. But that didn't change the fact that she was my wife, and she had betrayed me. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I said, my voice cracking. "I don't know what I want to do." Catherine looked at me, her eyes filled with anguish. "I understand," she said softly. "I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. I'll even quit my job if that's what it takes to prove my loyalty to us. Her words cut through me like a knife, and for a moment I was taken aback by the depth of her emotion. As we stood there in the darkness, the sounds of the party fading into the distance, I knew that our lives had irrevocably changed. The trust that had once been the foundation of our marriage was shattered, and the road to redemption would be long and difficult. But standing there beside her, I couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to make things right. I took a deep breath and reached out to take her hand. "Catherine," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil within me. "I want us to try and work through this. I know it won't be easy, but I believe that we can find our way back to each other. We'll need time, and we'll need to be honest with one another. But if you are truly committed to making things right, then I'm willing to give us both that chance." Her eyes filled with tears as she squeezed my hand. "Thank you, Michael," she whispered. "I love you, and I don't want to lose you." We stood there in silence for a moment, each lost in our own thoughts. Finally, I cleared my throat and broke the silence. "Do you think maybe we should go inside? It's getting rather chilly out there." She nodded, her lips trembling as she tried to regain her composure. Together, we turned and walked back into the party, our steps hesitant and our hearts heavy with the weight of our secrets. But as we took each other's hands, I couldn't help but feel a spark of hope ignite within me. Perhaps, just perhaps, we could find a way to put this all behind us and start anew. Only time would tell. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of forced smiles and polite small talk. Richard seemed to sense something was amiss, but he didn't press the issue, likely wanting to give us both some space to work through our emotions. As the party finally began to wind down, I thanked Richard for inviting us and made my excuses, promising to stay in touch. Outside, the driver waited patiently with the car, the interior lights casting a warm glow onto the cool air. Catherine and I climbed in silence, each lost in our own thoughts. As we pulled away from the estate, I glanced over at her, wondering what she was thinking, what she was feeling. But she avoided my gaze, staring out the window instead, lost in her own private turmoil. For the rest of the ride home, neither of us spoke. Instead, we sat in silence, each struggling to process the events of the evening and to find a way forward. As we pulled up to our house, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease settle over me. The familiar surroundings, normally a source of comfort and security, now seemed foreign and alien. It was as if our lives had been irrevocably changed, but we were both struggling to find our footing in this new, uncertain world. Finally, we arrived at our doorstep. I got out of the car and went around to open Catherine's door, offering her my hand. She took it hesitantly, her grip still trembling, and I could feel the weight of her emotions pressing down on me. As we stepped up to the door, I took a deep breath, steering myself for the conversation I knew we needed to have. It would not be easy, but I was determined to do whatever it took to salvage our marriage. "Catherine," I began, my voice barely more than a whisper, "I want to talk to you about what happened tonight." She looked up at me, her eyes filled with anguish. "We need to find a way to move past this, to rebuild our trust in each other. I know it won't be easy, but I believe that we can do it. We just need to be honest with each other, to listen, and to work together." She nodded, swallowing hard, her throat bobbing visibly. "I know," she said softly. "I want that too, Michael, more than anything." Her words hung in the air between us, heavy with unspoken meaning. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for everything." I took a step closer to her, my heart aching for the pain she must be feeling. "I know you are," I replied, reaching out to brush a stray hair from her cheek. "And I forgive you, Catherine. I want us to move forward together, to face this challenge as a team." As I said the words, I felt a spark of hope ignite within me. Perhaps, just perhaps, we could find our way back to each other, to the love and trust that we once shared. It would not be easy, but I was determined to try, and if we were both willing to put in the work, to be honest and open with one another, perhaps there was a chance for us after all. Catherine seemed to take strength from my words. her shoulders slowly relaxing as she exhaled a shaky breath. "Thank you, Michael," she whispered, was barely audible over the quiet murmur of the house around us. "I don't know what I'd do without you." I smiled reassuringly, cupping her face in my hands. "You don't have to worry about that, Catherine. We'll get through this together." I leaned in closer, feeling the warmth of her breath against my skin as she responded in kind. It was a tentative gesture, a hesitant brush of lips against lips, but it was a start. Over the next few days, we began the slow, painful process of rebuilding our trust in each other. We talked openly and honestly about our feelings, about our fears and our hopes for the future. We made mistakes, said the wrong thing at the wrong time, but we always came back to the same place: our love for each other. It wasn't easy, but it felt like we were making the progress. The weekend came and went, and with it a new sense of normalcy began to creep into our lives. We continued to work through our issues one step at a time, and while the weight of our secrets still hung heavily in the air, it no longer consumed us. We found little ways to bring joy back into our lives. Shared laughter over a television show, a walk in the park, a quiet dinner at home. It was far from perfect, but it was a start. On Monday morning, as I left for work, I turned to Catherine and kissed her softly on the cheek. "I love you," I whispered, feeling the truth of those words more deeply than ever before. "I'll see you tonight." She smiled up at me, her eyes shining with a mixture of love and hope. "I'll be here," she replied, her voice steady and sure. "Always." And with that, I left, my heart filled with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. We would find our way back to each other, to the love and happiness we once knew. It would not be easy, but we would do it together. Catherine spent the day tending to our young daughter, making sure she was cared for and loved. In the quiet moments, she found solace in the familiar tasks, allowing her mind to wander and process the events over the past week. She knew that the road ahead would not be without its challenges, but she felt a newfound strength within herself, a determination to face whatever came our way as a united front. That evening, as I walked through the door, I was greeted with the sweet smell of dinner wafting through the air. Catherine emerged from the kitchen, her face flushed from the heat of the stove, but a bright smile on her lips. She took my hands in hers and led me to the table, where we sat down to share a meal together. The simple act felt like a victory in itself, a testament to our progress we had made in repairing our relationship. We ate in companionable silence, savoring the taste of the food and the feel of each other's presence. When we were finished, Catherine cleared the table while I helped with the dishes. The familiar rhythm of this routine brought with it a sense of normalcy, of stability, that we had both been craving. As we dried the last of the dishes, I turned to Catherine and took her hand in mine. "I love you," I said, meeting her eyes. "I'm so sorry for everything I put you through, but I promise I'll make it up to you. I'll be the husband you deserve, the father our daughter deserves. I'll never let you down again." Catherine squeezed my hand in response, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I love you too, Michael, and I believe you. Together we can do this. We can rebuild our lives and our love." The words hung in the air between us, a testament to our renewed faith in each other. We had been through the fires of hell and come out the other side stronger and more resilient. The road ahead would undoubtedly have its twists and turns, its share of heartache and pain, but we would face it together, side by side. Our love, the unshakable foundation upon which we would build our future. That night, as we lay in bed, our arms wrapped around each other, Catherine felt a sense of peace wash over her that she hadn't known what it felt like forever. She knew that the trust we had worked so hard to rebuild would not be easily shaken, and she vowed to herself that she would do everything in her power to ensure that our love continued to grow and flourish. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. We continued to navigate the tricky waters of our relationship, finding our way back to each other with each passing moment. There were still hard conversations to be made, still wounds to tend to, but we did it together with patience and understanding, and through it, all our love only grew stronger. Wow, what a journey that was! From the highs of celebration to the depths of betrayal, this story had us hooked from start to finish. We hope you found it as compelling and thought-provoking as we did. But before you go, we have a few final thoughts. Life is full of surprises, some delightful and some devastating, but what truly matters is how we navigate the challenges thrown our way. This story reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there is hope for redemption, forgiveness, and rebuilding. So, if you are going through a rough patch in your own life, remember that you're not alone. Reach out to loved ones, seek support, and never lose sight of the strength that lies within you. And if you enjoyed today's story and want to see more like it, don't forget to subscribe to Real Life Stories and hit that notification bell, and stay tuned for more to come.